So we are in our Fiscal Fitness 2015 program, and every year we come to you and we say, think about what you want to give to the community next year, fill out a card of intent, do that. Now here's what I know. Here's what I'm blessed to know. Sometimes people have issues around money and finances. It's true, I'm telling you this. I thought you should know. Sometimes people hear all kinds of things, and I realize how often our messages about money are shame-based. So think about that for a moment. Nobody ever says they're filthy in love. Right? But they could be filthy rich. Right? I mean, it's so interesting to me as you really start to listen to how do we talk about abundance? How do we talk about wealth? How do we talk about this financial well-being? And so one of the things I know happens is sometimes people's stuff get triggered as we're talking about it. There he is, talking about money again. And I've never had anybody come to me and say, you're always talking about relationships that work. You're always talking about having health and well-being. What's that all about? But boy, when we start the money conversation, ooh, Billy, it gets weird in the room. So just breathe. Breathe into this moment. It's just stuff. It's no big deal. It's just stuff. So we're using as our theme, and by the way, I want to get this out of the way. So if at any point over the next 4 weeks, something that I say or something that is said here offends you, I just want you to know you're welcome. Right? Because where we get triggered is where our growth lies. Right? If you get triggered, understand it's your trigger. I'm pretty clean about this whole thing. So I just like us to be aware, and you are welcome. Happy to help where I can. So we do have all these shame-based ideas around money collectively, and it's such an interesting thing because we want money. We live in one of the most amazing capitalist societies that's ever been. We produce and we do all these things, and yet sometimes we have to figure out what it is we're doing here. So for me personally, I grew up in a family that didn't talk about money. It was verboten, as they say, right? And so it turns out my parents had two very radically different concepts about money. Dad was a businessman. Mom was a mom. A little codependent, enabling mom, but you got to love her nonetheless. She was wonderful. So you knew who to go to get the money from, right? So, mom, go to mom. Can I borrow $5 for gas? When $5 would buy you gas. Sure, honey, here's a 20. And take my car, Dad, on the other hand, was like, okay, now what kind of terms would you like? And when, what kind of amortization schedule should we fit, So you got these kind of different messages. So I inherited all of that and then created my own confused identity and message around money. And then, because the universe loves and supports us always in fulfilling that which is within us, then I got to get into a profession that I got to go to the people and talk about money. Not only talk about money, but ask them to give us their money. Thank you for that growth opportunity, right? Luckily, I've grown through it, and I'm pretty down with it. It's like, just fill out the card and shut up, right? I'm kind of getting there. It's awful. I don't want to tiptoe. Oh, well, we need your money. We need your money. Give it to us. So, but I love it because money is simply a tool in our life. And what I know is money is not abundance, right? You hear me say this all the time. I've been working, this title originally was The Courage to Be Rich from Susie Orman, but I thought, I know it's not really about being rich, it's about the courage to prosper. And if you've read that book, it's wonderful. If you haven't read it, you should. It's a wonderful opportunity to look at some of the psychological dynamics behind how we manage money. Now, I don't know, has anybody else in the room ever made a poor financial decision? Really? I'm the only one. Okay, there's another. Okay. Whew. I hated to be alone, all naked and vulnerable up here, right? Why do we make poor financial decisions? Sometimes even when we know better. And yet, you're walking along in the mall, you're happy, life's good, you're feeling blessed, and then you see that object. A pair of shoes, a new sweater, whatever it is, a new set of golf clubs, whatever it is, and you realize in that moment how incomplete your life is. And that without that object of your desire, you will go through life being incomplete. So there's really nothing more to do at this moment but to go purchase it. Anybody recognize this? So why do we do that? Because we have funny ideas. So it's good and well to begin to explore how we are about abundance and how we are when managing our finances and how we are around all of that. You see, Susie says that richness has nothing whatsoever to do with the amount of money you have, but the uses you put it toward. Do you use money to enable yourself to live a fuller life and to spread that fullness to others? You see, so often when we talk about being condition-based, we think that there's a point when we have X number of dollars and then it's all good. But if we don't change inwardly, then it's not really about what that X number is. It's about our relationship with this product, this thing, this collective agreement that we have made. So when we begin to realize this, we realize that this is nothing more than a tool in our lives. Having money is a tool. And for those of us, which includes all of you, that have not chosen a monastic life where you will sit with your beggar bowl and allow others to take care of you, we got to figure it out, right? And so why not have this be a joyous, wonderful experience? And yes, it will be uncomfortable. Just the other night, someone in his class was saying, "Oh my God, this is uncomfortable." I said, "I know, isn't it fascinating?" To me, I was in Phoenix this last weekend, worked with the Center for Spiritual Living there, my friend Reverend Sally in the New Vision Center. It was really wonderful, fun to speak in a different place. They haven't heard all my old lines, so, can dust some of those off, and it's great. But then I worked with their leadership council, and I said, we were talking about change and all the change that's going on in that community, and I said, it's so fascinating to me that a spiritual philosophy that's tagline is, change your thinking, change your life, that people freak out when you ask them to change. It's like, did you not read the sign that said this is the class you're taking? And yet, there is that part of us that always wants life to be different. We just don't want to have to be different, right? So the courage to prosper has to do with that willingness to examine that which has been unexamined, to look at what is it I truly believe. Do I truly believe that I am one with the source of all good? Do I truly believe that my needs are met and overflowing? Do I believe that all that I need comes to me, right? Now, we give it good words, but there's sometimes those of us that sometimes move into fear around life. What if I'm not loved? What if I'm not supported? What if I'm not fully supported in who I am? So the first thing for me I realize is that we just need to understand money is nothing more than a tool that we have in our lives. It is a tool. It's a handy tool. I like to joke that, it's so much easier than having to carry around chickens and beads and stuff so you can exchange, right? It's just easier to give them the little card. And it's a tool, but like any tool, we have to know how to use it wisely. It reminds me of an old story about the man who was a wood chopper. Profession was to deliver wood. So he had an axe. He was strong, he was healthy, he was committed, he worked hard every day. And he found that as hard as he worked, he wanted to be that rich man that Mike spoke about. He wanted to have that nice home, he wanted to provide for his children, and so he worked hard every day. But he found he could only get a certain amount of wood chopped every day. And so a well-meaning friend said to him, you would do so much better if you got a chainsaw. Okay, I'll do it. So he got a chainsaw, and he worked hard. And even as hard as he was working, he was only up to about 1.5 quarts a day. Friend came along and said, "How's it going?" He said, "Well, it's better, but man, I thought I'd be able to do this a lot further and a lot faster." And he said, "Well, maybe we need to just sharpen the chain on your chainsaw. That sometimes makes a difference." And so came back a few days later and said, "How's it going?" And he said, "I'm getting better, but I'm still only about 1.75 quarts every day, and I'm working hard, I'm sweating and all that sort of thing." He said, "Well, let me look at this thing." And he pulls the cord and goes, "Argh!" The guy says, "What's that sound?" Right? Conrad will tell you that having a tool does not mean you know how to use the tool. He's seen me. I mean, we did this construction project together. He has the tools and knows how to use them. Much more effective. I know how what the tools are and know how to hurt people, including myself with them, right? So it's just a tool. But until we learn how to do the tool differently, we can use it more effectively or less effectively. So as we're looking at this idea of changing our thinking, and then from our changing our thinking, we're looking at changing our behavior so that it is reflective and in integrity with what we truly believe. So Susie puts forth a wonderful spiritual principle. And she says it's this: understand, people first, then money, then things. And if we begin to get that order correct, a lot of our life flows differently. But you see, we don't always do that, do we? Sometimes people have been known in committed relationships to go and buy something without previous conversation with their spousal unit. And then they bring home their object of worship and desire to share with their beloved. And their beloved is closed-minded and unreceptive and is angry about said object. Ensuing fights occur. And if that happens enough, ensuing divorces happen, right? Because we put things before people and before the conversation about money. So she says, put people first, then manage your money, and then take care of the things. In this upcoming course on Prosperity Plus, Mary Morrissey talks about the Prosperity Plus, the fullness of our life. You see, it would be a mistake to think that it just relates to our finances, because you can have a lot of money and have a life that doesn't work. Likewise, you can have very little and have a life that doesn't work, right? So it's not that the money produces the thing. In fact, for many people, we discover that there's something wonderful that happens in simplifying life. That there is some beauty to the idea that less is more. That sometimes we become so consumed by the new, the better, the bigger, the faster, the whatever, right? It's amazing to me, every year all the car companies put out a new model year. To the uninitiated, it looks kind of like last year, right? But oh my God, maybe I need that. Because it's 2015 and now I'm driving this 2014 and oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do, and so I have to go get one. Or the phone thing. Oh my God, the phone thing is making me crazy. But anyways, don't even get me started on the phone thing. Okay, you started me. So I have a phone. Has a little woman that lives inside that tells me stuff all the time. So it says, push this button and you'll get the latest upgrade. So I push the button, right? I cannot use the phone anymore. I'm like, what the heck? Anyways, so I'm done. Thank you for taking that moment with me. What is up with that? Anyways, so we forget who we are. We live as if we're at the effect of life. And when we live as if we're at the effect of life, we think effects will change our life. It's from that level of thinking that we think more money will solve the problem. It's from that level that we think that the outer produces the inner. And yet our teaching says we must know the inner. We must know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. That if we seek first the spiritual dimension, then everything else is added unto us. Back in the 1500s, a gentleman by the name of Plecus said to us this. He said man, but I think he was talking about humans. He says, man does not know himself and does not know how to use the energies hidden in him, nor does he know that he carries the stars hidden in himself, and that he is the microcosm, and thus carries within him the whole firmament with all its influence. Isn't that beautiful? That we carry the stars within us. Quantum physics is telling us this same thing. There's no separation. Spiritual truth teaches us that we are one with the divine intelligence, and that divine intelligence works through us, flows through us, according to our own belief. And so by our belief in limitedness, we actually begin to reinforce that limitation. By that belief that life is hard or somehow against us, we create all of the conditions so that we can have a hard, struggling life. So as I like to remind our classes all the time, it is not that we are now learning to be co-creative beings. We have always been co-creative. But now we can begin to be more conscious, more aware. We realize that we are co-creating with a universal intelligence that brings forth our good according to our belief. And so if we want to change the outer, it's not about changing the outer. It's about changing the inner so that a new experience can come forth that reflects who we are. The courage to prosper then has that courage to look at what is, what I believe, what I don't believe, where I am financially, where I am in life, to just look without judgment. You see, everything I'm saying to you today, I would invite you to look at it without shame, without guilt, without blame, to just simply realize we are where we are because of who we've been up until now. And we can continue forward in this same vein, or if we're not liking the direction, we might want to make some changes. I said I had this realization. I don't know why it happened at this point in my life, but I had this realization that I might want to retire someday. And then I had the second realization that if I timed it right, I could. As long as I died about 3.5 minutes before or after I retire, I'm cool. So maybe I want to do something a little differently, right? Just to change the way of thinking, the way of being. We all have that. Some of us do things we know are not for our highest good. We get to look at that. We get to grow. We get to embrace a new way of being, a new way of thinking to create the life we want. And so all that we do here, why the Center for Spiritual Living in all of its ways that it's expanding into the world, is simply to help people remember that they are not separate from the divine. There is not a power out there that is against them or for them, but rather we are each extensions. And as we learn to heal within ourselves that sense of separation, that sense of limitation, then the universe comes rushing in to support our new belief, bringing forth a new experience of joy and wonder. I think that's a pretty wonderful message. So do I have a problem asking for you to give your money to support that? No, not at all. None. It's done. I got healing. I got a healing. Because it's good. So I invite you, as we do move through this, that this is a time that I would invite you to have the courage to prosper. The courage to look, the courage to be uncomfortable, and the courage to state a new reality for yourself, to claim a new dimension, the courage to move beyond that which is comfortable into that which is causing your greater yet to be. And know that as you do that, you are loved and fully supported in being who you are. Let us pray. As we turn inward, as we honor and acknowledge this one divine life, this one infinite power, we are reminded that we are divine beings right here, right now. We are open and receptive to that spiritual truth that there is but one presence, one power, one infinite being. And that in this presence we live, move, and have our being. So that which is true for the whole must be true for its parts. Indeed, we are but a microcosm of the stars themselves. And so we in this moment choose a new reality, a new possibility, a new awareness and a new awakening as we claim our divine inheritance, as we claim wholeness as the order of the day. We call forth that wholeness to be revealed as health, as well-being and vitality. We claim for ourselves that love is indeed the only reality. And so joyously and generously we forgive ourselves and others. We choose love over every other option, and we are healed and transformed. And as a result, our lives reflect unconditional love and acceptance. In this moment, we recognize the true source of our good, the one life, the one power. And so joyously we give, and graciously we receive of the divine bounty that is already ours. How grateful I am to know this truth. And I simply invite you in this moment that if there is a burden on your heart, that into this holy and sacred space we be willing to release it, to let it go, to open the inner eyes of vision to the greater possibilities seeking its emergence, to know that we have always been and will always be whole, perfect, divine beings. And as we call this forth, we allow a new reality to emerge. How blessed we are. So many blessings in our lives, both those seen and those yet to be realized. We give thanks for the many blessings, and we extend a blessing as we bless this spiritual community, knowing that it is divinely guided and always fully supported in living that mission, to be a healing presence in the world. We speak the word of truth as we extend a blessing to all of our brothers and sisters around the planet, to the planet itself. We're holding the high watch, the high vision for a planet at peace, for a world that works for all. And as always, we bless all priests, rabbis, ministers, teachers of every faith. For we know that where two or more are gathered in the presence of the I Am, the divine is present. And so we honor the many pathways to divine understanding and spiritual unfoldment. We bless them and name them good. For all of these blessings and so many more, I simply give thanks, allowing it to be so, as together we say, and so it is.